Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And tonight I'd like to discuss deals and the reflections of petitions. Okay. Now, those of us who are experienced knows that when you make a petition or put a petition forth to any given spirit, it's the same as being in a setting of where you're making a pact. It doesn't matter if it's a blood pact, it doesn't matter if it's a demonic pact, an infernal pact, or even a dark pact. A petition is where you, unlike aligning yourself with a certain spirit, a petition is where you're opening up the floor and allowing them to work within your life. Okay. Now, what do I mean by opening yourself up? Well, this is what I mean. Let's say, for an example, you go to a spirit and you've got certain things that you want happening. Okay. One, you want a better position within your job setting. Or perhaps, you want something to happen within your financial setting, or that of, say, for an example, a housing setting. Okay, these are just three simplistic, mundane views of what you're trying to accomplish and what you're going to be going after. Okay, and all of this revolves around monetary gain. Okay, the monetary gain leads to the housing, and the housing deals with the other stuff. Okay, that, like a family setting and all this stuff. I've talked about this in past videos a little bit, but today I really want to get down to business and really delve deep. And I'm going to be doing this from my own personal life. Okay, my own personal setting. Okay, now I know most don't like getting into this stuff because it makes them vulnerable. But to me, what's already happened has already come to pass. So therefore, there's nothing anybody can do to upset that. Okay. And that's something that goes along with the witch's creed, keeping silent among your workings until it's already come to pass. Okay. Until it's already done. And that's something that's very, very good to know, because of the fact that a while back, and I've discussed this in a couple of videos, at the time we were so hard up for finances, and we were so frustrated because we were trying to get out of a one-bedroom unit and get into a place where we have two bedrooms or more. And what's interesting to note here is nothing was going according to plan. I put together a sachet for her, for my son's mom and myself, and we got a little bit of revenue back in that department, which was awesome, and it did help out. But it wasn't something that was constant. So we had to, or more importantly, I had to make it more important, more structured. So I looked at my son's mom, and we actually, sat down and discussed what we both were seeking to do. One of which was to get a two-bedroom apartment. And to do that, we needed the finances. We needed to prove to the landlords, that we could actually support our family in that setting, and that they would get their money every single month, either as her and my son moving in there, or all three of us. Well, because of her job, she is one of those. She's a CNA, and what do they refer to that as? A BHP type individual who goes in and takes care of the elderly, and takes care of kids with mental issues, like what do they refer to that? Autisticness and stuff like that. So I mean, it's pretty cool, she's able to do this stuff, and now that she has a car and everything, and a license, she's able to go in and do this on her, throughout the day, and if need be, overnight. So we sat down, we discussed everything, we looked at the pros, the cons, every freaking aspect that we could think of, and so because it was so frustrating that she couldn't get into a place by herself because of the credit and the lack of finances, on her end, because at the time, her bosses were being, keep stretching things out so thin that it was like, okay, I'm going to have to go get another job if you're not going to, give me what I need. And so, and then they'd all of a sudden, oh, we have all these new clients. Well, then the clients keep dropping her, and it's like, it's one of the best, you know, CNAs that you got, and you keep taking, her away from the clients away from her. It's like, come on now, So it got to the point where and everything befell onto me, and all my finances were depleted because of the fact that I was paying for all this stuff. The rent is 1,025 for what we got here. Okay, a one bedroom. Now you take this into consideration with car payments, okay, which is about $400 in that aspect, and then another 425 area for car insurance. Okay, not to mention internet and other things, and not mentioning the debt. So a lot of practitioners and a lot of people really want to get out from underneath this debt. They want to be able to be set for life, but just to be able to live comfortably. So the way she and I were discussing it was we needed to do something that would get rid of a lot of stuff at once. One of the things that helps is the kickback that we get from the government through taxes. All right, that's something that's pretty good. Now, I ended up with a nice little surprise on that aspect because of the fact that number one, she ended up declaring me on the taxes as our son's beneficiary type thing. So that's going to be a little bit later. So I won't see anything there until the end of February, early March area. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, but that wasn't really a concern. So she ended up getting stuff from school, and she ended up getting some finances other ways. So I mean that was pretty cool too, because now she's paid off the car. The car is completely in our name, well, in her name, I should say, because it's for her. Um, we got rid of a lot of stuff today, which was awesome, and that was because we ended up getting a check for over 4 grand, 4 grand, and that's not even including the taxes and stuff. So I mean, and we were thinking about this today, and it was funny because since my boss had his heart attack last year, he was out for like 3, 4 months, and that wasn't just hell for him. It was also hell for the other employees, his employees and stuff, because his son and the district manager kept coming in on a daily basis and messing things up, rearranging stuff, setting new limits, new rules, cleaning the place up, and then I ended up that we were thinking last year about getting better jobs, and they were talking. I overheard them talking about you know hiring some new managers and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I'm putting my name in, you know. And what was interesting about this is because at the time I was working with Lucifer, the bearer of light, the bearer of truth. Okay, and I have a pact with him. So, which was awesome because of the fact that not only do I have a pact with Asmodai, okay, I have a pact with Lucifer, Raphael, Azazel, um, and several others, okay. But in this case, it was that enlightening aspect at the time of they need team leads, okay. That's a step in the right direction towards management. And plus, it's like a dollar or so more in a paycheck. Okay, so I went to Zazazel and to the lords and ladies of Caracas, and I just opened up the floor. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about right here when I say reflection of petitions and pact makings. Now, over the last year, the last 6 months, or if not more, I've made pacts with the Sith. I've made, the Sadi. I've made pacts with the Dralith, the um, the Elven, okay, the Draconic, and the Witches of the Depths. And then I started working with Zashira, okay, Zashira, who is a solitary practitioner, completely dedicated to sorcery, okay. And he's separate from the Witches of the Depths, from what I can tell. I haven't quite found anything that links them together yet. So I don't know if they're together or if they're just separate. He just prefers to be that warlock aspect. Okay. But, anyways, I ended up putting this petition forth and just opening up the floor to the lords and ladies of Caracas. Okay. And I ended up opening the floor originally with Zazazel, the buried king. And I even took it as far as going into Azazel, you know, the the angel of darkness, the ancient darkness himself, from the book of Enoch and multiple other grimoires, including the biblical account of being Jehovah's equal. Okay, the scapegoat effect. And basically, I just basically opened up the floor and I said, whatever you have to do it. Whatever the penalty is, I will do it. I will take that responsibility. Okay. So it was interesting because within a single month, and I realized this about 2 months down the road, is everybody that was more experienced than me at this job suddenly just either put their 2 weeks in, was terminated, or they simply just got up and walked out. Okay. And it was one night I was sitting there doing the dishes at work. And all of a sudden it was like, my team lead and the assistant store manager were sitting there, they were conversing. And all of a sudden I didn't even think about it. I just said it. And I said, the sad part is, I'm the most, experienced worker she has right now, because at the time we were understaffed for my shift. And it was funny because she turned around and looked at the ASM and said, that is actually sad. So yeah, so I mean, we started thinking about this, and it was like, bam, and I came home that night, and I remember I looked at my son's mom and I said, do you remember that pact I made about 2 months ago? That petition I did. And she says, vaguely, I can't remember what you said it was to do. And I told her, I said, you remember, I took those 3 weeks off between Tractor Supply and Dunkin' Donuts. And she says, yeah. And then all of a sudden you came to me and you said, hey, I need you to, can you, get a job again? I know you wanted some time off to heal after your injuries. John, I said, I'll have a job within the week. She says, yeah, I remember that one. I couldn't believe you had a job within 3 days. So, and that was after I worked with the Nine Kings from the Goetius. So here I am. I'm opening up the floor. I said, I opened up the floor and I petitioned the lords and ladies of Caracas. And she says, yeah, vaguely, I remember that. I said, well, over the last 2 months, everybody that was more experienced than me, between me and the team lead, has suddenly just vanished. you know, and now the higher ups, the managers and the ASM, the store manager, the district manager, and the owner are all looking at me because of the fact that I put my hat in the ring for manager, and they've all said, we'll keep you in mind. And and then the team lead, my assistant store manager and I were talking, and they were looking for a closer. And I said, if the other closer wants to work only 4 days, guess what? I'm willing to work the other 3 days. That's my 8-hour shift right there. 8 hours times three. That's my hours for the week that you guys have me set at. And she's like, okay, yeah, that will work. That will work. I'll run it by, the district manager and the owner and the higher ups there, and we'll see what we can do. Well, that didn't really go according to plan, but another door did open. And that was for the Order of the Blackthorn to go public with an official page. So, and not just that, but it went into more interviews, and it went into one of the more publicized authors coming to me and asking me if I'd be willing to write an essay for his book. And it's like, damn, right there. I mean, things are just blowing up in the magical aspects here, you know? So here we are, January 2020. Okay, 2020, this year. You know, I'm getting the hours that I need from work. But here's the funny thing. This is the funny thing. Not only did the landlords discuss it, but they came to us. We have a townhouse for you. We have a townhouse for you. It's a 2-bedroom townhouse. The parking lot itself, both vehicles will be in the parking lot, right in front of the unit. So one of us don't have to park out on the street where we have to go between federal housing and that of the city. Okay. We're still in the same city, but here's the kicker. We're going to be moving to a better location. Okay. So this is what's funny. We're halfway between both where she's working. We're near where she's employed, but between the two cities that she goes to, that she travels to do her job. Well, I should say the 3 cities, because she also does stuff in this city too. So she's literally halfway. And either way I go to get to my job, I'm still within 10 minutes. A 10-minute drive. I kid you not. I can just jump on the interstate and boom, I'm there in like 5-10 minutes, which is completely hilarious. And I mean, the reflection of the deals in the packs of mutual beneficial stuff. Now, as a black magician, it's always about power. It's about growth and evolution. Okay. Now, and it's personal gain, as most white lighters would put it. So, the deals of working with demons, the jinn, the loa, the ugan, as either a boko, a warlock, or a Satanist, a traditional Satanist aspect, a necromancer working with spirits, working with these old gods in these forbidden realms, to working with the hells themselves within Buddhism, okay? Specifically that of Asian Buddhism, okay? You, you look back at the following year and you're like, okay, the rent may have tripled because we're trying to make some money to get ahead and we're not getting anywhere. Now, why is that? Well, this is the kicker. What you want as a practitioner doesn't always mean it's good for you. Okay? When you and it all comes down to the way you petition the spirits or the pacts that you make. Okay? Now, before I became a dad, before I became, let's just call it the uglier half to the family. Yeah, because the female is always the better half. So before I became a dad and a mate, And not just that, but a sorcerer. You know, I've been a sorcerer for 3 decades. 3 decades. Okay. I've seen ups and downs. I've lived on the street all across this nation. You know, I've gone to other countries and I've been a fighter all my life. I've been a loner all my life. So here I am. One of the biggest petitions that I put forth, you know, finally came to fruition. You know, my late 30s. I'm now 40, going into 41 years of age. And it's ironic because of the fact that I have a 2-year-old now. I got a woman that made this place a home. We're both working for the benefit of our child, our family. She's a Baptist, and she even comes to me to make things happen. I've taught her how to drive. Okay. I didn't yell at her. I didn't do nothing. I just let her do her thing, find out what clicks for her. And then I just tweaked it. She ended up getting her license. That pissed her family off even more. Not just because I'm a traditional Satanist and dark sorcerer, and they're diehard Baptists. Okay. So, number one, they already hate me as it is. I got her license. They hate me even more. She ended up having a child out of wedlock. Bam, they hate me even more. Not really caring about it. So, but you're seeing how everything is unfolding. When you make a pact, I made a pact with Beelzebub years ago, almost a decade, just about a decade, when I was down in Texas, when I was living in northeastern Texas. And it was funny because of the fact that I asked Belial to bring me a familiar. And one day, this cat literally followed me a quarter way, mile down the road. And we ended up bringing her home because she turned out to be a stray. And she was just 6 months at the time. And she's still with me today. Matter of fact, she's right there on her perch. That's right. The white one. Okay. She's a white familiar. And I mean, every time I did any form of sorcery, she'd be right there in my lap. She would sit there and walk between the candles and literally go onto the altar itself. Okay. So she's a familiar. And then we ended up getting, like I said, here we are almost a decade later. I'm a dad. You know, he and his mom and I get along great. We not only got better jobs that actually work with our hectic schedules, but allows me to do my ministry at the same time, lets her do her own thing. And then on top of that, you got the landlords coming forth. The landlord and going, "Hey, we want you guys to move into this place. It would be awesome for you as a family." And it's like, you can't make this shit up. Seriously, you cannot make this shit up. It just happens. And that's the good thing about sorcery right there, is when you petition the gods, you petition the Loa, the Ugan, the jinn, the demons, the angels, you know, even the old ones themselves, like Zazazel and Cornersbog and the 13 Blighting Lords. You know, you just got to let them have their own way, but you got to trust and believe that they'll do it. And that's the fun thing, because of the fact that I put these petitions forth last year. Okay. When we realized that we've got to get a bigger place. Now, at the time, we weren't sure if we were going to go our own way or stick together. But we've realized it's more beneficial if we stick together. So we're both sick of this place. where we are now. But to see how they've worked everything, I mean, literally worked everything. Okay. I'm talking better paid positions to getting the hours and currency that we need, to opening the doors to, well, the best way to put it is personal gain. Okay. Black magic is a method which is employed literally for personal gain. It's power, it's evolution. And that's the thing that works well with black magic. It's not this white, fluffy bunny stuff that most people think it is. It's not a game, it's not a joke. When you do something like this and you put these experiences out there, you got to take what comes. You got to open up your arms and say, whatever you give me is what I'll take. I've asked for it. It may not be the method that, I want. I would have preferred a 3-bedroom apartment, perhaps even having my own home, a house with a backyard for my son to play in. Aha, I got me a kitty. Hey, come here. All right. So, anyways, this one here is Harley. Go on. So, anyways, as I was saying, I may have want that, but it may not be the time for that. So the fact that they're willing to open up this door for a 2-bedroom, okay, not just one, but 2 different apartments in this other complex, okay, this one other complex, and it just, opens right up. The other one, it was just her that was going to move in, and it didn't pan out. The fact that between the 2 of us, this one has literally opened up. So within the next month, I'll be doing these recordings from the new apartment. Not only does it have 2 restrooms, 2 bedrooms, but 2 different floors. So right there, that's the number 6. Number 6, numerology. Look it up. Okay. Awesome. And the benefits is we're going to be able to save money. We're going to be able to rent to own, washers and dryers, so we're not using quarters all the time. So in fact, we're going to be literally paying probably about 700 and maybe $50 between the 2 of us. Okay. So you take 750 times 2 right there. That's 1,500 split in 2. Maybe less than that between the bills that we pay. All right. But you look at how far we've come. Everybody at my job knows me by name. Literally, they know me by name. They come in, they know they're going to get their product that they want. I'm on good terms with all of them. And what's interesting is they know they can come to me and they trust me. I'm the only one who at my job who doesn't have a name tag. And yet my name is out there. Just like it is in, as you put it, the Demon brand. Exactly. But it's more of a personal brand, really. The way you represent yourself, the way you approach things, your attitude, your outlook. When you've thought of everything, and yes, I'm terrorizing the cat. So it's the way you represent yourself. It's your thought forms. If you're thinking all the time that you're not going to get something, guess what? It's not going to happen because you've created a self-made jinx, a self-made curse, okay? A hex to where you've lost everything because you think you're not deserving of that. But if you think that you're deserving of it and you give it time and you put a petition forth, you make the pacts, you make the deals, and you take both the consequences and the benefits that you reap, Guess what? The cosmos is going to open up and you're going to get this huge blessing. And that's what it's basically is coming to fruition now. Okay. It's taken a little over 2 years, but you know what? That's awesome. Because the last time I did a curse, an actual full blown curse, and actually intended to destroy my enemy, it took 2.5 years. Not only did their property become condemned, unfit for human habitation, but the minister himself ended up getting kicked out of this city, this province, and forbidden to have any ministry dealings in this province. So yeah, he even lost his family and ended up getting a divorce and having to minister out of his own vehicle. So sad, right? Yeah. So that took 2.5 years. It's taken a little over 2 years, you know, about 3 years area, 2 to 3 years here. So guess what? It's all coming to fruition because you put the work in, you do the work, you go out and you continuously do the work. You got to do the work if you want to get to reap the rewards. And in this case, it's paid off in a huge, huge manner. The lords and ladies of Caractères, the servitors, the witches of the depths, Sashira, the Draconic, the Sith, the Dralith, all of them. You know, I got nothing but good things to say about them. And you know what? Working with the demons, the angels, the Ugan, the Loa, the Jinn, you know, all of them are working in this fashion, in this manner. And you know what? It's awesome because I'm trusting in them as much as they're believing in me. As a sorcerer, it goes both ways. Unless you're doing it from your own microcosm way, where you're actually using your own ka, your soul. You're growing in your soul, your mind, balancing yourself out. And what's interesting to note in this is that once you've balanced yourself out, you're got control over yourself, the energies of eternal, then you can expand them to outside, to bend things to your will. Aleister Crowley was known for this. He was known for doing things like mimicking, okay, mimic magic, expression magic, walking like somebody and then all of a sudden dropping to his knees, and a couple steps down the way, the target drops to the knees, falls down. You see, this is expression magic. It's expression magic, okay? And what you are doing is you're using your own energy and own will. You're applying your own will into this. Okay, that's the difference between the microcosm and the macrocosm. The macrocosm, you're actually utilizing and petitioning gods and goddesses. You're utilizing the angels, the jinn, the Ugan, the Loa, demons for their help and their aid in things. You're giving them a purpose within this realm. But here's the other kicker. You're benefiting each other because they have a will that they want to do. And so do you. So by working together, you're going to benefit a whole lot more because you've got the same goals in mind. You scratch my back, I will scratch yours in return. It's a give and take. Trust, loyalty, growth forms that relationship. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. So, right here, I've gone into my personal practice, my own personal experiences over the last 2 years. Okay, we've had our ups and downs, yes. We got screwed over by a car company, Dodge. We got screwed over by the car dealership. But guess what? For that price, for that one vehicle, after we turned it in, we ended up paying $100 less, $200 less, really, for two different vehicles. Instead of paying $600 for one, we ended up paying $400 a month for two. You see what I mean? When you let these beings have their way, they're going to work in the background to make sure that your petition becomes reality. And if you do it for yourself, make sure to have a clear, undiluted intent. See it happening, see it transpire, see it in completion, and make it manifest. Both ways come to fruition. One may take longer than the other, but it is known to happen. So, with that said, I want to thank everybody that has appeared here. Feeleth, Salute, Wild Child Tirret. Thank you for jumping on here with me. Is there any questions about anything that I've said? So far. And yeah, I am an old dad. Being 40 brings a lot of benefits, but it also has some downfalls, especially if you have old injuries. But seems nobody has any questions. So, all right, I will see you back here next week. And I've got some rituals that I got planned over the next week that I'm going to be teaching on. And some workings that I'm going to be teaching on as well in the next week. So keep that in mind. Right now, I've been doing quite a heavy amount of studying within the formulation of necromancy from different path workings. As I posted on Facebook yesterday, I was posting on necromancy from Quimbanda perspectives. So I'm actually going through all my books and all my works, grimoires on Santeria, and seeing what they have in there. It's been a little while since I've done that, so I want to see how it plays out in that. I didn't really delve too far in there once I got it back into Satanism, so. But it's there. So, anyways, have a good night. And like I said, I will be back here either tomorrow or Monday. And as of February 29th, I will hopefully be in the new apartment teaching. That's hopefully if we have the internet set up by then. If not, I will probably be teaching on just Facebook for a little while until I get internet for the use here. So, all right. Have a good night. Try to stay warm, cold, or whatever you like. Raise some hell, and have a good night.